So there's a great piece yesterday on the OPEC rumors. Why Saudi Arabia seemingly feeding into the speculation of a production freeze this time around?
Yeah, I actually don't think that they were. I think they put out a draft of an interview that the energy minister did with the Saudi press agency, and then they quickly recalled it, and then they put it out again over the weekend when basically the markets were closed. And so I think what they were trying to do was to demonstrate more transparency about what they're doing in terms of production. But it was sort of mishandled, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that there's a new minister and he's bringing in new press relations staff, and I think it's the second such hiccup I think that they've had since he's taken over. It's certainly not his fault, but so I don't think they're trying to actually show that they're for a freeze. I think there is a change in tone, however, with this minister. He's trying to look like he is more cooperative, and I think he would like to be more cooperative, but essentially their main objective here is to regain market share, and in order to do that, they need to really offset non-OPEC production. And so that's why I put in the note yesterday that the Saudis are actually more nervous with oil at $50 than they are at $40, and that's because they realize that $50 oil keeps U.S. shale alive. It can't keep all of it alive. There are certain parts of the U.S. production that can just happily churn along at $50 oil, and that's bad for this 2-year program that they've had to really depress prices.
How likely is this? Everybody's trying to call the, I'm going to interject in my own questions if you don't mind, but how likely is the scenario that you just chop people up between 40 and 50 on WTI for a long time without having the down to 20 or up to 80 case? Because that seems to be what everybody, most people we talk to, it's always binary, Joe. They're either like, oh, it's going to 20, or oh, it's going to 70 or 80. What if it just chops you up like 6 ways to Sunday in that $10 range?
Yeah, I don't think I agree with you. I mean, I don't see those extremes at all. I think if oil, it probably from a fundamental standpoint, barring some major outages because of some geopolitical risks, oil is fundamentals probably have oil in the low 40s. Maybe could slip below 40, but I don't see it really moving from that range. And I think the Saudis would be okay with that because it is really hard. There's not many places in the U.S. where you can produce oil at $40 economically with transportation costs.
Yeah, we were just in Houston and Dallas. We were in Texas, Darius and I, in July, which is not enjoyable until of course you meet with the clients, which is always enjoyable. But the weather being that comment would be just a constant. That the math just doesn't work in the low 40s for a lot of U.S. equities and their related balance sheets and cost structures.
That's right, and there was the API data that came out yesterday showed a build of 4.5 million barrels. Now the API data seemed to be sort of wildly off from the EIA data, which comes out around 10 o'clock today. But the longer that oil stays at the high 40s, $50, the longer U.S. shale. We've been seeing a steady decline in U.S. production, but that's going to plateau if oil settles at $50, and really that's the number that the Saudis are watching. What's happening to non-OPEC production and mainly U.S. production, and they want to see much more of it than what they're seeing now. We're down about 1 million barrels a day from the highs of April 2015, but they want to see a lot more for the market to come into balance.